उरुक्रमस्य देवस्य मायावामनरूपिणः कीर्तौ पत्न्यां बृहच्छ्लोकास् तस्यासन् सौभगादयः उरुक्रमस्य देवस्य मायावामनरूपिणः कीर्तौ पत्न्यां बृहच्छ्लोक तस्यासन् सौभगादयः The word is Saubhaga Adaya. Saubhaga Adaya. Saubhaga Adaya. Okay, go ahead, Anush. Go ahead, Justin. Okay, go ahead. He's next. Urukramasya devasya मायावामनरूपिणः कीर्तौ पत्न्यां बृहच्छ्लोकास् तस्यासन् सौभगादयः उरुक्रमस्य देवस्य मायावामनरूपिणः कीर्तौ पत्न्यां बृहच्छ्लोकास् तस्यासन् सौभगादयः. Your turn, Mataji. No? Okay. Urukramasya of Urukrama. Devasya, the Lord. Maya, by his internal potency. Vamanarupinaha, having the form of a dwarf. Kirtau, in Kirti. Patnyam, his wife. Brihadshlokaha, Brihadshloka. Tasya, of him. Asan, were. Saubhaga Adayah, sons beginning with Saubhaga. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By his own potency, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has multifarious potencies, appeared in the form of a dwarf as Urukrama, the 12th son of Aditi. In the womb of his wife, whose name was Kirti, he begot one son named Brihadshloka, who had many sons headed by Saubhaga. Purport. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 6, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnates, he does not need any help from the external energy, for he appears as he is by his own potency. The spiritual potency is also called Maya. It is said, Ato Maya Mayam Vishnum Pravadanti Manishinaha. The body accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Maya Maya. This does not mean that he is formed of the external energy. This Maya refers to his internal potency. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah. Oh, okay, good. I'm going to summarize the whole chapter a bit because it's an interesting chapter. Text 7 does not have a purport. It says, O King Parikshit, Indra, the king of the heavenly planets, and the 11th son of Aditi, begot 3 sons named Jayanta, Rishabha, and Midusha in the womb of his wife Paulomi. Thus we have heard. So these days, starting today, tomorrow, the day after, are very auspicious festivals. So today is Ekadashi. So if you don't know or ever confused, generally the deities wear this red dress. So you always know it's Ekadashi. But we are fasting till noon today. Okay, so I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. No breakfast. The reason we fast today is in honor of Varahadev tomorrow. Tomorrow is the appearance of Lord Varaha, the incarnation of Krishna in the form of a boar. That's connected to the purport here, so you will see why. That's tomorrow. But on Dvadashi, you're not allowed to fast. You're supposed to break fast, correct? So the Vedic technicality is that we fast until noon today in honor of Varaha's appearance tomorrow, and then we continue Ekadashi after lunch or from lunch onwards. So tomorrow we can break Ekadashi fast. So Ekadashi tomorrow is called Varaha Dvadashi, and then the day after is called Nityananda Trayodashi, the appearance day of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Now whether it is Lord Nityananda, Varahadev, in this case Vamanadev, each appearance of the Lord is that he appears, he says, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. And Prabhupada describes that Maya is the word that's applicable to both Krishna's external energy, which is our dear friend, correct? In case we don't know, she's our best friend, Maya, because she has been with us and encouraging us for unlimited lifetimes. Thank you. Encouraging us for unlimited lifetimes to forget Krishna. And Krishna's internal potency is also called Maya. So it's described that the Jiva is always in Maya. Whether he is conditioned or liberated, he is always in Maya. Okay? And when he is conditioned, the Maya that acts on him is the external potency. And then when he is liberated, the Maya that acts on him is the internal potency. But he is always under Maya. So in the external potency, that Maya has the Shakti, the energy, the capacity to make one forget Krishna and act in a way that either Krishna is not there or cannot see Krishna, cannot perceive the presence of Krishna. It also creates within one the um, the urge to enjoy in a way that is independent of Krishna. And the other Maya, she always makes a person remember Krishna. So this is how they work. They're almost diametrically opposite. One Maya makes the Jiva forget Krishna. The other Maya makes the Jiva remember Krishna. Not only remember Krishna, but not remembering Krishna from a distance, but actually participating with Krishna. So, for example, there are so many pastimes where the devotees of Krishna, they forget that Krishna is God. They don't remember that. They only see Krishna as someone very dear to them. Recently, I've been reading where the sages, the Vrishnis, the Andakas, all the residents of Vrindavan, they gather at Kurukshetra for the solar eclipse bath in the river. And they've come not so much because it's solar eclipse, that's the excuse, but they've come because they've heard that Krishna and Balaram will be there too. So they want to see Krishna and Balaram. The eclipse is just an excuse to get there. And when Krishna and Balaram meet Vasudev and Devaki, part of the Maya that plays out is that Krishna and Balaram, they offer obeisances to Vasudev and Devaki. And they accept it. Because they see Krishna and Balaram as their children. Versus, you're the personality of Godhead, what are you doing? They don't see it like that. They see him as our sons. And when the sages come, I was just sharing this the other night. So when the sages come, Krishna and Balaram stand up to receive the sages. And the sages include Vyasa, Asita, Devala, Narada, all these wonderful, what we call A-listers. They're there. From all around the universe, they have gathered to be able to see Krishna and Balaram. So one would think that when they see Krishna and Balaram, they will fall flat on the floor, offer their obeisances and prayers to Krishna and Balaram. But the interesting thing is, Krishna and Balaram offer their obeisances to the sages. Give them a place to sit, wash their feet, and offer prayers to the sages. That you sages are walking, as the word is, perambulatory places of holy tirthas. You are the places of pilgrimage. And wherever you walk, that place becomes holy. And we are very fortunate. This is Krishna and Balaram speaking. We are very fortunate that you have come about in your travels here so that we may see you and we may become purified. And it is said that these sages, their intelligence became bewildered. That's the phrase used. They're so expert in their intelligence that they can decipher everything in the Vedas. All the messages, all the intricacies in the Vedas, they can understand. But their intelligence is bewildered by Krishna's speaking. Because they can't believe, they can't fathom how Krishna can speak like that. So now it's their turn to speak. And then they say, I'm paraphrasing, that what you have said and done is to set an example for all humanity. That the Brahmins and the sages must be always revered and respected. Now, when we offer our prayers, this is not setting an example. This is for our purification. You are Krishna and Balaram, and actually, it is not that we are the places of pilgrimage. It is because of you that we have something We are just the instruments. It is you who are the real sacred personalities, and it is our honor to see you. Because in this universe, one cannot see Krishna. Krishna holds back or withholds his view, his presence from the conditioned souls. So, to be able to see a great Vaishnav, to be able to see Krishna, is considered very, very, very special fortune. So, like that. And then they ask a question of Krishna. The sages ask a question. And Vasudev, he, he interjects and he says, how will he know? He's just a boy. He's talking about Krishna. He's just a young boy. How will he know the answer to this question? It's not like Krishna doesn't know. It's Vasudev's love, that Maya that covers his understanding of Krishna. There's Krishna's ontological position. But that Maya endears Krishna to him very much. So I think, oh, my boy, my son, how will he know the answer for this? Or when we hear pastimes in Vrindavan, all the residents would say, oh, Nanda, your son, Krishna, he has killed this demon. The demon would be the size of a mountain. And Nanda would say, come on, what are you talking? Look at him, he's so small. What do you mean, big mountain? Maybe the demigods did something and he's getting the credit for it. Like that. That's how Maya works. But one is always in Maya. So in the purport, Prabhupada saying, Ato Maya Mayam Vishnum Pravadanti Manishinaha. That Krishna's form is Maya Mayam, full of Maya. Now one may say, oh, there you go. This is what the Mayavadis also say. The form is full of Maya. And so Prabhupada's clarifying that it's not the external potency. Our bodies is Maya Mayam. Our bodies are also made of Maya, right? Maya means the 5 elements, the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and false ego, which is distinct from the soul. But in Krishna's case, Maya Mayam means the internal energy. That's Krishna's spiritual potency. So Krishna's form, Krishna's name, and the personality Krishna, they're non-different. Another word in the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada explains, the word Atma Maya. It means by my mercy. That Krishna appears by his own mercy. And here Prabhupada writes, he appears as he is by his own potency. He does not need any help from the external energy. We need help from the external energy. And how is that? Semen. So how does the external energy help us? We get the body made of the 3 modes of nature. Our body is developed by the 3 modes of nature. All the tissues from the mother. We're connected to the mother in the womb by the placenta, and the placenta is from where we receive tissues, all they're called sapta dhatus, the 7 liquids that allow for the body to form. Blood, urine, pus, semen, plasma, bile, and there's mucus. These 7 things. That's why the mother, from her body, she gives. And that's how the body is. And then when the fetus is developed and ready, comes out of the cervix, is delivered, and then you cut the placenta. And then the child starts living an independent life. A physically independent life. Emotionally may still be connected to the mother, but that's a different story. So the body is made of Maya, it's made of the 3 modes of nature. Everything, the tissue, the bones, everything is made of the three modes of nature. Krishna doesn't have such a form. In fact, somewhere in one of the books that we have read, describes Krishna as not having any blood. There are no veins. Do you remember somewhere vaguely? Ishopanishad. What is the word used for having no veins? Bhakti Shastra scholars. Ashnaviram. There is no veins. Apapaviddham. That he cannot be touched by sin. Prophylactic. In fact, he purifies anything that comes in contact with him. So Krishna does not have a body or form that is like ours. No blood running through the veins. But what is bewildering is that there are pastimes where you see Krishna having beads of sweat. Or when it's described that when Bhishma Dev was throwing arrows, or shooting arrows on Krishna, the pores of Krishna's body were filled with blood because he was taking the arrows, because he was the chariot driver for Arjuna. Arrows were flowing from all sides and they were piercing Krishna. And the dust from the battlefield, by all the galloping of the horses and the chariots driving, whizzing past, the dust was accumulated in Krishna's hair. So it was all dusty. And in that is Krishna driving the horses of Arjuna, and Bhishma Deva's meditation is on that form. How can that be possible? So that's the bewildering capacity of that Maya. The bewildering capacity is that it makes Krishna seem ordinary. Now, see, both Mayas work the same way in one sense. For the conditioned soul, it makes Krishna look ordinary. For the pure devotees, it makes Krishna look ordinary. Right? That is why all these demons, Putana, Baka, Arishta, Agha, the whole list of them, they saw Krishna and they thought of him as little kid, ordinary. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, all his friends, they look at Krishna and they think of him as ordinary. Although they see extraordinary capacities in Krishna. Imagine if, this is only imagination, it cannot be real. One of us, we were all, gone to the beach and having a good time, and a demon comes and opens his mouth as wide as possible, the upper lip touching the sky, and each of his teeth like mountain peaks. And one of our friends walks in and says, "Psh," and kills him. And so the moment after that, we won't treat the person as ordinary anymore. But right after Krishna kills Aghasura, they're all like, "Oh, okay, let's have lunch." And among them, they boast with each other. When Krishna says, "I'm very strong," Krishna's friends like Madhumangal and others say, "We know. But actually, your power is coming from Brahman like me." That's what Madhumangal says. So they treat Krishna as very ordinary. So Maya allows for Krishna to be seen as ordinary, but depending upon what's the disposition of the heart. If the disposition of the heart is away from Krishna, then we see Krishna as ordinary. Oh, he may be a great person. This is why Prabhupada warns us, we should not study the Bhagavad Gita not written by devotees, because they will think of Krishna as an extraordinary person. Krishna is not an extraordinary person. He is the personality of Godhead. In our life, we also see the transition. Earlier, we had no idea of Krishna. We probably still don't have an idea of Krishna, but Krishna didn't exist within our realm of consciousness. And even if we met Krishna or came to the temple, we had different ideas. It's just ordinary. And then we're transitioning that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. We'll transition into, by Krishna's grace, into seeing Krishna as someone that's very approachable. Because such a relationship happens. We see, right? Um, there is a counter principle to the English phrase, familiarity breeds contempt. Correct? The more you become familiar with something or someone particularly, you start like, it's only ordinary. The spiritual counterpart of that, not that there is contempt for Krishna, but the rasa, the relationship with Krishna is such that one sees Krishna as very approachable, someone that you have a relationship with. And so that's what Krishna is also trying to develop for us. Anyone serve the spiritual master, the first time you have to approach the guru or some great sadhu, there is some trepidation. Anyone feel that? Sure. You keep serving, and generally you overcome that trepidation. Correct? Yes, you felt like that? Anyone? Yeah, you overcome the trepidation. But because we are conditioned, we overcome the trepidation and then start thinking that he's ordinary. That's the problem. That the trepidation we overcome because there is a connection, a sense of belonging, a relationship with the person we're serving. So it allows us to approach. I'll give an example. If in the disciples of Prabhupada, if Prabhupada were to ever say to them, "Oh, this afternoon you massage my back," right? Those devotees, I'm sure, they offered all their obeisances and like, "Oh, it's so delicate. I don't know how to touch." But that's what they did every day. So they knew this is the time for Prabhupada's massage. They would oil and massage Prabhupada. Not that they became familiar with Prabhupada. There was always the danger. But they knew that they could approach Prabhupada that way and do that service. So when Prabhupada would bring that barrier down, what it allows for is more intimate service. Similarly, Krishna also brings those barriers down to allow for intimate service. Otherwise, man, in the presence of Krishna, that's a lot. I mean, to get on the altar and be there, that's a lot. In the presence of Krishna. So Jordan, you did Arti. This was your first time today. How did it feel? Were you nervous? Not really. Good. How'd you feel? Nice. Yeah. First time I ever offered Arati to Prabhupada, I couldn't stand there. It was just like too overwhelming. No wonder. Sadhu. Uh, but standing here and seeing Prabhupada is one thing. Standing there and offering articles of worship to Prabhupada is a whole different experience. You do and then it's like, oh, okay, today no one's there. So the doing it every day or doing it regularly allows for a little bit more intimacy. That's the point. The point is not that we can think of Prabhupada or the deity of Krishna as ordinary or Guru as ordinary. That's not the point. The point is it allows for intimacy. That's what Krishna does. That's how Maya works. It allows for intimacy because Maya is his own energy. So Krishna's appearances. Today is the appearance of, tomorrow is the appearance of Varahadev. So I don't know who's going to speak tomorrow. So I'm going to skip Varaha story, but I'm going to come to Vamanadev, which is the verse today. So it says, Urukramasya Devasya. Urukrama, the word Urukrama is used for Vamana. Krama means step. Do you remember anywhere hearing the word Krama? Nectar of instruction. I'm talking about the jaundice of material disease. Rupa Goswami says, Svadvi Kramat Bhavati Tad Gadamo Lahanti. Kramat means step by step. and he's called Urukrama. Uru means big, massive, gigantic. So, person who took massive, gigantic steps is Vaman. And it was bewildering because Vamana was a dwarf. A dwarf has big torso and very short legs. So when he asked Bali, I want only 3 paces of land, Bali chuckled and said, you're a dwarf. How much land can you cover? If you get a plot of land that is 6 feet by 2 feet, what can you grow in it? Right? Maybe a little marigold plant, that's about it. But if a Brahman has to have so much land that he can cultivate his whole food in it, Bali laughed. You're a Brahmin, 3 paces of land, short legs. Come on, ask for more. No, no. A Brahmin should not be greedy. He should only aspire for what is his bare requirements. Okay, 3 paces of land. Poured water in his hand, chanted the Vedic mantras that I accept, I'll give it to you. 3 paces of land. And suddenly he became so big that he covered the entire universe. And with one foot that he lifted like this, he covered all the upper planetary systems, and the nail of his big toe cut through the coverings of the universe. Can you imagine how big that toe must be? This is how big it is. One of Prabhupada's disciples, who's no more, His Grace Sadaputa Prabhu, who was, I think, 2 PhDs or a PhD in mathematics from Cornell. Like, not an ordinary personality. His first book that he ever received, that he ever got, was Sri Ishopanishad, that made him a devotee. He was in university and was searching for something in the library, and he saw Sri Ishopanishad. He became curious, and he stood there and he read the whole book cover to cover twice. And he became convinced this is life. And so Prabhupada had given him an instruction: study the 5th canto properly and explain it to others. So that's how he made the video, Mysteries of the Sacred Universe. So Sadaputa Prabhu explained that this is the size of the universe. Okay? If you were to take a 1-inch ball bearing, and let's say that's the diameter of the universe, 1 inch, then the coverings of the universe are a total of about 600 miles, because there is the 7 coverings of the universe, and each subsequent covering is 10 times longer than the previous covering. This is 1 inch, the next is 1 inch, then it will be 10 inches, then 100 inches, 1,000 inches, like that. So he said its range is so far away. And Vamana's toe pierced through all the coverings, and the celestial Ganges water entered the universe. That's why we call what we drink in the morning Charana Amrita, that which has touched the feet of the Lord. So Vamana, so here the word is used, Maya Vamana Rupinaha. So which says Maya has both meanings. Maya Rupina means cheating form. Because he was so short, Bali was cheated or bewildered. Oh, and then suddenly he became so big. That's one understanding. Another understanding, Maya Vamana Rupina, is that although he was the form of a dwarf, he is fully transcendental. This is the Supreme Lord who is transcendental. So after all this happened, Vamana had a wife by the name Kirti. And through Kirti, he had a son called Brihat Shloka, who had many sons, starting with Saubhaga. Now Vamana is called the 12th son of Aditi. The son was born way later. The first 11 sons, they're called the Adityas. Aditi, sons of Aditi are called Aditya. Her sister is Diti. Her sons are called the Dait, Daityas. Not Daitas. Daita is a different. Daityas. Huh? Not deity. Daityas. Okay. So Adityas. Now the 12th son came later because when Bali attacked, this is in the 8th canto, it's going to be described later. When Bali attacked Indra's kingdom and took it away, Indra had to flee and hide somewhere. And he actually went and hid in Aditi's cottage or hermitage. And Aditi then prayed to Krishna, please do something. My son, he's sitting at home, he's jobless, he's been fired, he's forced to leave his throne. Please do something. That's when Lord Vishnu appears as her 12th son. So yesterday Maharaj was describing that Vamana is sometimes called Indranuja, right? Indra Anuja. Anu means to follow, and Ja means to born, be born following. There's Ramanuja. Rama, yesterday was the disappearance of Ramanujacharya. Rama Anuja, one who's born after Rama. That is, who's born after Rama? Who's born after Rama? Rama Anuja, Lakshmana, and no, Krishna is also Ramanuja because Krishna was born after Balaram. So it's either Lakshmana or Krishna, either way. So like that, he's called Indranuja. He's also called Upendra, the younger brother of Indra. So this story, this chapter, after describing the descendants of Aditi, the first few of them and their wives and children and all that, then he describes the descendants of Diti, two very famous personalities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Tomorrow is the day when Varaha appeared to kill Hiranyaksha. Somehow the pastimes are all interconnected. So, and then it says Hiranyakashipu had so many, his wife's name was Kayadu, and he had 4 sons, Hlada, Samhlada, Prahlada, and one more, I forget, Anuhlada or something. And then their children, and they're all famous demons. In the Mahabharata, all their how they appear, who was killed by whom. In fact, and their son was then killed later by Balaram. Krishna kills Ilvila's son Balvala later in the Krishna book. We may hear it. And then he says that Shukadev Goswami narrates that from Diti's womb, 49 Maruts, the wind gods, were born. And they all were demigods. So Parikshit Maharaj has a doubt here. Hold on a second. Diti's sons generally are the demons. How is it possible that 49 of her sons, who were supposed to be born as demons, became great devotees? They all became demigods. Like, what's going on here? So then Shukadev Goswami narrates this story of how Diti became very angry at Indra. So the chapter is called Diti Vows to Kill King Indra. Why is Diti upset? Because Indra, to help Indra, the Lord had taken the form of Varahadev and he killed Hiranyaksha. So naturally she was very upset. And instead of showing her anger on Vishnu, she saw Indra as the problem. That it is because of this Indra, my sister's son, that Vishnu had to kill my son, Hiranyaksha. So I will do something by which I will have a son that will kill Indra. That is when I will feel uh, solace. So what she did is she enticed Kashyapa Muni. Now Kashyap's situation is tough. He's married to both the sisters, and the sisters are fighting with each other. And so Diti, she wants a son, and she entices Kashyapa Muni to unite with her, to give her a son. The idea is then he falls for it, and there's a whole story, and then she becomes impregnated with the son. Now, as soon as she becomes pregnant, Indra is on full alert because that son's going to be born and then later kill him. So he is looking for any discrepancies in her devotional service, because then he can use that as a reason for punishing her. So he's carefully observing her. And Diti is doing everything she does perfectly. There's one discrepancy that she does. Do you know what that is? That she didn't wash her mouth. That after eating, one particular day, she did not wash her mouth. And he said, this is a discrepancy. Those are not proper. And so he entered her womb and he cut the embryo into 49 pieces. But because she has performed devotional service, the embryo was protected. All the 49 pieces were protected and they were delivered as 49 individual boys. They were called the Maruts, who later then, because she had performed devotional service, they were protected by her and they became great devotees. So they became demigods. That's the pastime actually in this chapter. So if I can go in, I can go into the whole churning of the milk ocean story, Varaha and Vamana. It's a beautiful story, but some other time. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, thank you for a wonderful class. So you were mentioning that familiarity breeds contempt, and sometimes when we see the spiritual master, we don't try to get too familiar,
Yeah.
and we're more like scared in a good way.
Better.
From my personal experience, this just reminds me that I can't relate to that because the first spiritual master I met coming to the temple was Radhanath Maharaj, and I thought he was the only one around for like maybe 2 years because he was the only one I saw when I would come to the temple. And I just remember first meeting him, and my brother was like, walking with his hands folded, like this, bent over. I'm like, what's wrong with him? And so then right off my heart, he would be like this with everyone. He'll, grab his arm around you. And so, I did the same. I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool guy. And I was wondering, like, what's wrong with my brother? Like, like, what's the problem? So this was before his book came out. And so I have many stories where it was like completely familiar. And when his book came out, I was like, oh, crap. And once you kind of listen to the philosophy a little bit more, you're like, oh, crap. But my question was, you mentioned that whether you're a demon or a devotee, you see Krishna as ordinary. So,
So take it in the right context.
no, okay, it's the right context. But in Vaikuntha, they see God as God, our veneration. So does that mean Yoga Maya isn't present in Vaikuntha?
No, I knew that was going to come. We're talking of the devotees in a particular relationship with Krishna. Like I was talking about Mother Yashoda and Vasudev. So the Maya works because it has to allow for all varieties of relationship. So it doesn't mean that Maya, Narayan is ordinary. But the rasa with Narayan is of a particular type. So they will never forget that this is Narayan. But once you enter Vrindavan, where there is more intimate relationships, that same personality, they view him very differently. That was the point. The earlier point was that Maya always makes you remember Krishna, his internal potency. One will never forget that. So there are grades of intimacy. The Vaikuntha is one grade of intimacy. But then Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Shringara, there are different grades of intimacy like that. And they're all Maya, the internal Maya of Krishna. So we don't forget, this is Krishna. The Prabhupada sometimes would say, Although these are Radha and Krishna, we are supposed to worship them as Lakshmi and Narayana. So there is proper awe and reverence. We don't like, oh, like. So yes, Maya still works in the sense that always you remember this is Krishna we're dealing with. But this grades of intimacy. Anything else? Is it a cold day? Is it a sleepy morning?
Just wanted to hear more how you said that Krishna makes himself more available. How, if you're on the altar and you're thinking this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna somehow makes, you said, himself more accessible. Could you explain that a little, or how?
Yeah, Krishna makes himself accessible in all sorts of ways. Anyone who is looking for Krishna in this material world, let's start from there. Krishna not visible, one cannot hear him, cannot see him, touch him, cannot. But if one is very sincere about it, even if he's not thinking specifically, I want to know Krishna, if he's even considering, why is life like this? I'm sure there is something beyond this. Is there any concept of God? Whatever the kinds of questions or thoughts one might have, then Krishna begins to make himself accessible. So the first level of access to Krishna is the devotees of Krishna. This is access to Krishna. He puts us on the track by which when we're young, there will be these puzzles with mazes. You have to start at this end and go to that end. And there are all these blocks in it. It's not accessible. But as soon as you meet a devotee, the path out is one straight line. Out. So the first level of access is devotees. And along with devotees is then scripture and guru, then the deity, etc. And the easiest way in Kali Yuga, the access that he gives is his holy name. And so he has said that, in all other yugas, it's not easy to access me. And still, the people of those yugas, they have the capacity to somehow get through the difficult circumstances. But in Kali Yuga, people don't want to get through the difficult circumstances because they're not interested. So my name in Kali Yuga will be such that even if they're not interested, they have full access to me. And what I'm going to do is to drop any rules that might be there of how I might be accessed. Tatrarpita niyamita smaranena kala. One is not limited by, or there are no rules of proper time or place for chanting my name. I'll make myself so accessible. Not only will I make my name accessible that way, but then I will give my name to everyone. So my devotees will go out. Whoever they meet, they will encourage to chant my name. So that's how it becomes very accessible. This is why Lord Nityananda's appearance is so special. He's the one who actually goes out and finds the really disqualified persons to help them. Then, of course, the deity, the process of devotional service is our access to Krishna. And then worship, the 9 processes of devotional service, they're called process because you start somewhere and you end somewhere. Where do you end? You end at Krishna, where you achieve Krishna. So Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyati. You will achieve me. So Krishna is making himself accessible by giving us a roadmap. This is how you come to me. Now, and after that, Krishna is accessible every moment. If you remember something in scripture, some pastime, or by his name, by some way, we see a nice quality in someone, and it reminds us of how Krishna has that quality. Just this morning I was thinking about Amanina Manadena, right? So that's why I was sharing how Krishna met the sages. Amanina Manadena. He didn't say, I am God, come on sages, I am the object of your meditation. No, Manadena, he washed their feet and glorified them to such a degree that the sage's intelligence was bewildered, which is never bewildered. So like that, he makes himself very accessible.
Thank you, Vu. And in terms of the deity, the deities are worshipped in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, but ultimately there's a stage when one worships them on a spontaneous.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. That's the point I was making, that with regular and development of the relationship with Krishna, that comes down a little bit. Krishna progressively removes that sense of hesitation and allows us to come close to him. Like if you're a pujaari and you have to dress Krishna or something, it's not an easy thing. Tie this and pin that. Krishna has to allow for it to recede for at least for that moment, so you can be there and do the service. This is the gift. Not just in deity worship. Not that that's the only way you can be close to Krishna. One can be very close and far away from Krishna also. But that Krishna allows us to serve him. And we remember, wow, I'm serving Krishna here. Whatever it is, whether it's on the altar or out there, whatever one is doing, it is Krishna has given me this privilege to serve him. That is his intimacy. Every service is a privilege. It's not something boring, man, I have to serve again. It's such an honor. And it's such a loss to have missed an opportunity to serve Krishna. It's a great privilege. And the more one feels that serving Krishna is a privilege, the more one gets enthused. It's a privilege. It's a great privilege to serve Krishna. But the way Maya works is that contempt comes, familiarity comes. Oh, it's the same thing. It's the same. Can I get a different service, please? The same thing. It's get boring. The Maya works differently. Jitendra Prabhu.
Thanks for your detailed, elaborate account of the verse, and it kind of bewilders me how you remember all these personalities and all these events and sequence and stuff. Yeah, I was thinking of this Krishna's name. Through Krishna's name, he's available to everybody, and I was thinking we were in Calcutta, and the one bugler guy, do you know that bugler? He plays a bugle. The trumpet or something. You know him?
Oh, the devotee?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Ekalavya.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we were in Calcutta doing a Harinam, and we were going, here and there, and then we went by this mosque, and we stayed there for a little while in front of the mosque, and all these guys, they were like this. They didn't want to hear it, so I just thought that was kind of interesting,
No, he is loud. I remember from my first initiation here, the temple room was packed. And we had, of course, His Holiness Ramapat Swami, because he's giving us initiation. His Holiness Radhanath Swami. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami was there. Mother Malati was here. And Nityadita Prabhu was here. Vakreshwar Pandit was here. Pitushar Prabhu and Danikeli Mataji were here. And Ekalavya was here too. And every time either of the sannyasis, when they were doing initiations, they would call someone and say, your name is such and such. Ekalavya Prabhu would go, pa, 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 pa. And the sannyasis were like, oh. But he's loud, but he's very. The whole kirtan was like that, and Vakreshwar Pandit was singing kirtan, so you can imagine how it must be.
Thank
About me remembering things, um, yeah, those there may be, not they may be. They're some gift of Krishna, but I always hanker and admire that if I could get like a little mustard seed worth of your 40 years of commitment to Kishore Kishori and serving them, my life would be very successful. And I'm far from it. It's just amazing how you do. So remembering something is not a big thing,
well,
but
like
to be consistently serving, especially with so many changes, people go, presidents come, go, the years come and go. But it's not like you've aspired for some fancy, some other service. It's just the same things that you do, and you do it so lovingly and then committedly. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
well, I've had my ups and downs, but
Well, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Too early in the morning for you? Hey, Acharya.